5 common mistakes that are sabotaging your growth, and I'm gonna fix it for you today. All right, guys and girls, if you follow this channel, can you guess what number 1's gonna be? And I'm gonna say it first to get it out of the way. You aren't training hard enough. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time ranting on this because you just don't need to. We both know if you walk away from that session, if you gave it your max effort or not. If you're on a leg press and you easily rack it, you left reps on the table. If you're in a hack squat and you stood up with relative ease, you left reps on the table. That's the difference between training hard and doing enough. And I've always wondered, like, the idea of, oh, am I doing enough? Shouldn't be a question if you go to failure, which is why I tend to train that way. Unless it's a pump day, and then that's a whole different goal. My goal is a huge pump, get out of here, stimulate blood, move on. But if I'm doing a true work set where the goal is positive failure, if I don't stand up on that hack squat, if I get stuck on the bottom quarter of a leg curl, I know that I did what was required today for that exercise to grow. So remove that from your mind, which is why I don't agree with reps in reserve, because all these smart people will tell you, like, oh, I did leg press with 1 IIR. And yet, if I was standing there and they had, their life was on the line, and I said, you do 5, or you're getting kidnapped and you're never seeing your kids again. And then you did 5. But you told me that was 1 IIR. That's what I find is laughable. So if you don't go to the end, do you have 2 left? Do you have 3 left? Do you have 1 left? Do you have a half left? To me, I'd rather just find out. So that's number 1 for why you're sabotaging your results. Next up, you're just simply program hopping. And what does that mean? Well, you watch a video on Instagram and you're like, oh man, like, I gotta do progressive overload. I gotta just go train for strength. And then your elbows start hurting. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go chase pump. And then you're like, I'm not getting stronger, I'm getting smaller. And then you buy John Meadows' program. And you're like, oh, he changes exercises every week. This isn't fun. It stresses me out. And then you hire John Jewett. And you're like, oh man, this is too in detail. Like, I don't have all these pieces of equipment and it makes me think too much. And then you go back to progressive overload and you start the cycle again. See what I said there? You gave no program a chance to legitimately start working. And you know, that's something that I've never failed with, because I've always just been all in on something. If I believe in it, I do it and see it to its finality. So when I bought my first program from John, I continued to do John programs until they were done. Funny how that works, right? And I grew alongside. I really encourage you guys to not program hop. Give a program at least 12 weeks, at minimum, to assess progress. And that's saying everything else is stable and set in point. Like, if your eating's right, if your sleep is right, your stress is right, your intensity is matched, give it 12 weeks, guys. And probably even more like a year, if I'm being brutally honest, if you aren't enhanced. If you're natural, you need to at least give it a year. Now, at the same time, I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth. If a program is destroying your body, meaning your joints, and you hate it, please God, program hop. But if you do that with 3 different styles of program, it's you, not the programs. So take that with a grain of salt, maybe for some of you. Others need to take it to heart. So stop program hopping. That's a huge reason you're failing. Next, you're just simply undereating. And I know you've heard me say, oh, well, Chris, like, you said that multiple of your clients can grow into a show and so can you. Well, yeah, that's because our calories in the all season were 6,000 to 8,000. And then we're dieting, losing body fat on 4,000 calories. Of course, I'm still able to gain muscle. But if you're eating like a bikini girl, eating 4 ounces of protein, and listen, 4 ounces is probably being generous. I've seen some of you guys' meals. Or you're eating pizza rolls. You're like, oh, that's my carbs and fat. Or you're like, oh, I hit Taco Bell after my workout today. Your calories might be high, but the quality of nutrients are way down. So I always challenge people that say, I eat all the time and I'm not growing. I'm like, I'd love for you to just follow around and eat my meals for 2 days in a row. See what you said. You're like, man, you really ate all that food really quickly, and I'm not eating a lot. Or you're eating a lot of the wrong things. Like, we all could sit down and polish a bag of Doritos. Like, I could eat probably 3 king-size Snickers bars in the next 6 minutes and get the same calories I might have for 3 of my meals. But do I think that's gonna put muscle on me? Absolutely not. So really write down what you're eating for 1 day and be honest, and then total the calories and assess it. And if your protein's below 200, that's why you aren't growing. If you're a male, above 185. So that's going to be my advice there. So the reason you aren't growing is simply under eating. And listen, I say that because I was guilty of that for a long time. Oh, I'm eating a lot. And then when you look at it, like, no, you aren't. And then when I had someone show me what a lot of food was like over the course of a day, I was like, Jesus Christ, my mind was altered. And from that point forward, I was like, okay, cool, I got to up my game. And I did that by simply hand to mouth. All right, number 4, you're overthinking it. And what do I mean by that? So many guys miss what I will call the sledgehammer points, but they nail the scalpel points. And I struggle with that because I always feel those people never developed a foundation that kind of something they can always come back to. If I ever feel myself drifting too far away from the basics of bodybuilding, I hone back in on how I was successful at the beginning. Smashing tons of food, training my face off, barbells and dumbbells. Those 3 are my staples, right? That's what I come back to if I find it I feel like I lost myself in the weeds. As wonderful as Instagram and YouTube are, they paint a very different picture than I was taught when I was younger. And what we see now is tons of specificity, like very pinpoint stuff. Like they're like, do this exercise for your lower lats. Well, if you don't have lats, forget about the lower lats. You need the whole thing. Like, oh, work your VMO maximally. Like, bro, your legs are 21 inches. You need everything down there. Put a bar on your back and squat until you can't stand up straight. So what I mean when I'm thinking about that in bodybuilding in a macro sense is come back to what everyone does to get big. And I already named those, I'm not gonna name them again. But recenter yourself with the principles of growth and size acquisition. And then get specific when it comes time to within a given workout. So if I'm looking at everything, like if I hammer my pull-ups, if I go and do heavy dumbbell rows, and then after that, I can go do a heavy T-bar row with a pronated grip. So if you think about that, I'm getting lower lat, I'm getting back width, and I'm getting thickness with a T-bar row. Now I can get to something cute, like maybe a single arm supinated cable rows where I'm drilling my low lat. Or maybe I'm doing a DY row and I'm standing and I'm really thinking about opening that lat and squeezing it. Perfect opportunity to do that. But that's after I've hit the meat and potatoes. So I really challenge everyone out there. I was like, stop thinking about like how much fiber this vegetable has. Vegetables aren't the reason you aren't growing. It's because you aren't eating enough protein and carbs and fats. Simple as that. Like, I get things like, oh, Chris, like brown rice or white rice, or sweet potatoes or white potatoes. Whatever you digest the best. Or, Chris, like, do I put my hands neutral grip or pronated? What feels great to you? One of the longtime followers of this channel, he asked me, he said, Chris, on a Bulgarian split squat, what hand do I put the dumbbell in? I was like, which one feels the best? He's like, never really thought about it that way. Like, funny how that works, right? Some of the part of this takes a little bit of intuition, right? Like, let's say, for example, when I line up in my receiver stance, if my inside foot is forward and I always false step, meaning I step back instead of forward, if I switch my feet and go outside foot up, I never do that. That's just a simple fix, bro. I don't care what the coach says. It's an easy solution. Clearly you have an issue driving off of your right leg if you're playing X or H. Too much football talk, I'm sorry. If you can't tell, I'm excited for the season. So, what I want you guys to think about here is get back to the basics, get out of the weeds, and start sledgehammering shit to get your growth back to north. Final point here, be patient. Anything worth having in life takes time. It's taken me almost 2 decades. I'm sorry, I lied. 21 years is when I started bodybuilding. At 19, I'm 40. To get to this size that I'm proud of. I know some people say, Chris, that's terrible results for 21 years. Well, for my genetics, I did everything in my power to get here, and I'm proud of it. So I think most people see the genetic freaks out there and like, oh, he gained 30 pounds of muscle in 2 years. Awesome. That's not you. It wasn't me. I've clawed, chipped, fucked up, failed, started over, got injured, grew like a weed, stopped growing, grew like a weed, got lost in the weeds, came back, hired a John, fill in the blank. You see how that wasn't linear? It was like a roller coaster. But it takes that roller coaster to learn and give me the ability to teach you. Like, hey, don't make my mistakes. And hopefully, instead of 21 years, I can get you to do this in 11 or 15. Be patient, guys. It takes time. Don't give up. It's one of those things like, I heard David Goggins say, like, what if? And like, what if I didn't quit today? What if I wake up tomorrow and everything I worked for came true? right? Like, what if I got pissed off today and went home and shut my YouTube channel down? We're almost at 21,000 subs. I'm tired of doing this bullshit. I should be making more money off of it. And then tomorrow we release this video, it gets 1 million views, and I'm suddenly making 10 G's a month off of this. I just needed one more day. I need one more video. And that's what I think has always kept me in sports, in bodybuilding, in business, is like, man, if I just do one more perfect day, what happens? And then how many perfect days can I stack together? Last thing I'm gonna end with, I had one of my guys, he struggles with a lot of mental health. And I said, you know those big signs they have on like job sites that are very high risk that say like days since last injury? I said, I need you to make one of those dry erase boards on your fridge and put days since last fuck up. And what I mean is the days since the last time you've had an off-plan meal. Now, I have a free meal in his plan, so that's not off-plan. But if he eats something off of his plan or he skips a meal, then he has to start back at 0 and then start counting back over. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 6, day 20, day 100. And I've always had that little mental chart in my brain. How many days can I work in a row? How many sessions can I have flawless before something goes wrong? How many meals can I measure to the gram and put into my mouth? And that's always driven my ship, because I knew if I did those things every single day, progress was happening. And it may not be as fast as I want, but it's happening. And I had blind faith in that. So everyone watching out there, take these 5 tenets, put them into practice, and get to progressing today. If you like this video, guys, like, share, subscribe. Until next time, Chris, I'm CB.